welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. The parade might be over, but the celebrations certainly are not, at least not on this show. We've got a fun one for you guys tonight. Alongside me, as always, Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg. Guys, how we doing?
Good.
This is it.
Good.
This is it.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's been waiting for. Forget Finals MVP. Forget regular season
Grammys,
MVP.
the Oscars, like they don't hold a candle.
Let's do it,
Absolutely.
man.
Most exciting
I
show
like
of the
this
year.
one.
Definitely. Before we get into it, subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the First to the Floor YouTube channel and or the CLNS YouTube channels if you're watching over there. Also, we've got Ben Pfeiffer, an NBA draft / Twitter guru, coming on the show tomorrow to break down everything related to the NBA draft for the Celtics later this week. Wayne Spooney has a new piece up on Celtics blog. It's a primer for everything to do with the Celtics offseason, sort of breaking down how the Celtics need to manage their spending under the new CBA, a nice reminder of all the constraints that we're kept under because of that new CBA, how we need to be careful with our transactions and our moves this offseason, as well as key offseason priorities, including contract extensions for guys like Derek White and Jason Tatum. So really important stuff. The link is below in the description if you want to check that out, as well as all the links to all our stuff, our social media, our Discord server, which is absolutely popping off at the moment. All the links are below. Please check it out. Now, before we get to these prestigious awards, O'Shea Brissett, we've got to get to this very quickly.
News.
Some news today. Declined his player option, and as it stands right now, may very well not be returning to the Boston Celtics next season. Spoonie, what do you think the deal with this is? Is it possible that we're just looking to renegotiate his terms, or is he currently just out shopping for the best deal around the league?
We really can't do any renegotiating. We don't have any bird rights with him, so we can only offer him a veteran minimum, and that's what he was on already. I think what O'Shea is probably looking for is playing time. I bet he thought he was going to beat Sam Hauser for that backup wing role, and he did not. So he's going to look for a decent team where he can play some, or maybe somebody taps the taxpayer MLE and gives it to him. I highly doubt that's going to happen. So
That would be wild.
Yeah, if he can't find a team where he's got a clear path to playing time, though, I expect he'll be back on another veteran minimum, probably a 1+1 like he had with the player option last year.
Yeah, look, this is hopefully he's gonna get the he's hoping he gets the J Celtics boost. Right, yeah. Another satisfied customer of playing with the Jays. It's a very long list of guys that have gone on to get contracts around the NBA. Some larger ones, Grant Williams most notably recently, but he obviously didn't play that much this year. He probably just wants playing time. I get it. He's got his ring now. I know Ben's very upset. This is tough.
The vlog,
the vlog.
Look, Prissy TV, it's an asset. Yeah. It's an asset. He knows this. His agent knows this. The league knows this. They're shopping it around. You sign this player, you get great offensive rebounding, tenacity, and hustle off the bench. You get a great charismatic guy off your bench with bench celebrations, and you get free coverage, free documenting of your team's season on the great YouTube channel that is Prissy TV. So I'm hopeful that we can get him back. He has an unsuccessful shopping trip around the league. This is obviously a very selfish take. I hope, for his personal sake, that he gets the best money available, but I'm going to miss Prissy TV. So prayers up for me in that, I guess. All right, let's move on. Now, the Larry O'Brien Trophy, the Bill Russell Finals MVP, these are great, but none are even close to the prestige or the reputation of the First to the Floor end of series awards, which we're looking for a much better name for at the moment. If you've got any thoughts in the chat,
the Ben
please
Vallis
let us know.
End of series awards.
There you go. That's a step up. That's a step up. And tonight we've got a double whammy. We're about to give out the end of series awards for the NBA Finals, then later the full 2024 postseason awards, and we'll wrap up by going through the entire playoff rotation to determine each player's best moment / game / whatever of the postseason. So lots to get to. Let's not waste any time. Let's start with the finals. We'll skip the MVP award because we already have our finals MVP in Jaylen Brown. Jake looks a little taken aback by that.
No.
Any takes?
I have some takes. Firstly, we do need to rename the award from the Jordan Crawford MVP to the Jaylen Brown MVP.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're here. Jaylen Brown has earned that right after winning finals MVP.
Okay,
but
sure.
I really think Jason Tatum's got an argument for the Jaylen Brown MVP award. Mm-hmm. And the numbers, Jaylen Brown is just in the perfect spot as far as role expectations. And I've really kind of I've been using the Steph Curry KD comparison on the Warriors. KD won Finals MVP. He is just perfect for that role. Way overqualified for that role. Similar to Jaylen Brown. Where Jaylen Brown is, I legit think he could be a number one on some teams now. How fucking good he's become. But like, his job is like a lot easier than Jason Tatum's. Steph Curry is the reason the Warriors are the Warriors. And the numbers don't even end up being that far away. Tatum has 22, 8, and 7 on 50.5 true shooting. Jalen 21, 5, and 5 on 53.5% true shooting. So a 3% true shooting split. And then this is the thing. And this kind of goes back to the we're going to get to the depoy thing eventually. So I won't overdo it there. But Tatum's the versatility cheat code. He's the versatility cheat code. Jaylen Brown was still incredible. You can go either way. I just want to make sure I get my Jason Tatum argument in there as well.
Can I defend Jalen really quickly?
Yeah.
So he had a 4.6 net rating in the finals, which means we outscored the Mavs by 4.6 points per 100. Tatum's was only plus 1.5. So we were outscoring the Mavs at a higher rate with Jaylen Brown on the court and Jason Tatum off the court in this series. I don't think that's ever happened before in a playoff series. Was not the case in Indy. That's why I was kind of more...
Or any other series,
yeah. Or any other series. This is the first time we were 5.7 points per 100 better with JB on the court. Had a negative point differential when he was not on the court, which it's always the opposite with Jalen. And part of that is to do because he comes out and Tatum comes in and the vice versa happens. But for once in the finals, it was the opposite. And his defense on Luka was awesome. I get it, Jake. I totally agree. Like the passing, the entire offense was basically Tatum, go do stuff, and then everybody eats off of that. But, I think Jalen's also a worthy winner. Like, I think either one is just fine, yeah.
Yeah, we can't just take away JB's Finals MVP award. Like, what are we doing? He was earned and fairly. It was fairly earned in his case, and it was such a big narrative shift and such a big moment for JB to get the award in the first place. I fully understand, like, making the case. You can make maybe a case for Drew Holiday as well, but it just felt like such a well-deserved treat for JB to actually get that award. To even tease the idea of taking it away from him feels it feels folly to me.
It's fair. Like, it's fine. We can move on. It's a lot closer. The numbers, Jalen is. It's like it's.
I get it. I totally get it.
Okay, we'll move on.
We're passionate followers of all the guys with very passionate thoughts. I totally get it. The Evan Turner Sneaky MVP Award, and maybe we're looking for a rename of the Sneaky MVP Award as well. So folks in the chat, let us know your ideas there. I'll throw a couple of nominees at you, and we may have buried the lead here. Jason Tatum, Sneaky Finals MVP. 22 points, 39% from the floor, and 26% from three, which... this is what enters him into the sneaky category because you have to look elsewhere for his contribution. And you guys have already hit it all pretty well, but 8 boards, 7 assists, 93% from the line on 5.4 attempts, and maybe our most versatile defender throughout the series, and obviously punctuated with that incredible game 5 where he just like led us to the promised land there. So any additional thoughts on what we haven't already covered with JT?
He didn't turn it over much either, which is huge for how his usage and how much he was expected to do on the offensive end with getting into the teeth of the defense, which big change from the last time we were in the finals.
Yeah. Again, he is just kind of the straw that stirs the drink. Like looking at all the touches numbers, like he had the highest usage. He had 85.6 touches per game. Jalen had like 64 and everyone else was around that. Most time of possession. And then his driving, 19 drives per game, which is just like, by far and away, his like biggest driving series, anything. And that was really the secret to the whole series offensively for the Celtics was him getting downhill and collapsing the defense. Jalen was great driving downhill as well. But my sneaky MVP, Al Horford.
That's who I have.
That's very sneaky.
Yeah.
Say more.
Like, what do we do without Al Horford, man? Thank you for a second there. I might have to move rooms in a second. But Al Horford, 30 minutes per game, 37. What have I got here? 47% from three
47.
In the finals. Like, he's just easy Al, man. Like, we needed him. KP goes down for whole playoffs and for the finals. Just no big deal, dude. Big Al.
Yeah, 1.8 stocks per game, and switching on to Luka Doncic like it's not a big deal. Switching on to Kyrie Irving like it's not a big deal. Doing okay on the glass too, 6 rebounds a game, which is not amazing, but he's boxing out, letting Tatum get in there. 2.6 assists too, with only 0.6 turnovers. So Al Horford, what more can we say? He's just the absolute best.
I think I can get on the Al Horford train. One, because we've got to move through these quickly, and I like the idea of like piling the awards on Al Horford. Like he's getting old, but we're probably going to see maybe 2 max more seasons out of Al Horford before he ties a bow on that thing and calls it a day. And he was incredible. I called it in our initial post-series pod like an all-time old man playoff run, which absolutely extended into the finals where we got a bit of KP initially, then he was gone, injured again, and Al Horford yet again had to step up and be like this key defensive stalwart, for lack of a better term, on this team throughout the finals, and switching on to guys like Luka and Kyrie and holding up at his size and age is well and truly worthy of the sneaky MVP award. I did have Drew Holiday as well, which I think Drew Holiday, like you could attribute all of these awards to Drew Holiday. He was fantastic, but 14.4 points per game, 50, 40, 100 in the finals as well, which is absolutely fucking insane. And just insane defense throughout, and just a chaos agent along with Derek White. But let's give the sneaky MVP to Al. Let's move on to game of the series, game of the final series. Folks in the chat, we want to hear your thoughts on all of these awards as well. Jake, I think, is back with us. What was your game of the series, in your opinion?
Oh, sorry. Had to move room, get closer to the game of the series has to be game 3.
Yes. We've lost him.
It's the nail in the coffin.
Worse, Jake.
Damn it. That's the nail in the coffin, game 3. Like game 2, game 1, incredible. But for me, game 3, that's the series.
Yeah, game 3 had like the 12 minutes of our best basketball in the series, from like 7 minutes of the third quarter to like the first few minutes of the fourth quarter. Double 30-piece from the Jays, I believe. And they almost did the thing where they cough up a huge lead and lose, but then they nutted up, came back, and I think they ended up winning that game by like 10. So it's game 3 for me as well.
Nutted up is absolutely what they did. Yeah, we almost gave up that lead, but there were some incredible clutch moments down the stretch.
Still just a 3-point game with plenty of time remaining, but without their star. Drew Holiday on the drive, kicks it back out. White puts up a 3. Bang! Derek White from downtown. Pass inside to Tatum. Tatum double team, gets inside and throws it down. Brown using the screen. Drives, pulls up, jump shot, puts it in. Jaylen Brown now with 30.
Amazing.
That jumper.
Pull up J, by JB. So good. Like, put that on his Hall of Fame highlight reel. Game 3 it is. So Preparation H award for best sphincter reliever. This could be a moment. This could be a player who relieved our sphincters throughout the series or anything in between. I've got the Pritchard Game 5 shot where we were a little angsty going into halftime. Like, can they close it out? Just at that point, like, in hindsight already, like, of course we should have been confident. It was kind of like an end-to-end win for the C's. But because of all the pain and suffering over the last few years of the Jays and like, will or won't they get there? That shot going in from Pritchard, that was the first like, oh shit, we're winning this game moment. Ultimate relief throughout the body, Spoonie, including but not limited to the sphincter.
Yeah, that's a great one. I felt that deep in the sphincter for sure when that shot went in. I have JB in the second half of game 3. He was absolutely nails that entire second half. I think he had 20 in the second half, and no bigger shot, maybe the entire playoff run, at least in the finals, I think, than that JB midi pull up with a minute left to kind of seal game 3. So that was the ultimate sphincter reliever for me. But yeah, the Pritchard one is a great one because it's so improbable too that it's like extra relief when you least expect it.
So great choices. So there's a couple ways to look at it. What was like the final sphincter relieving moment, or what was the biggest sphincter relieving moment? And I think an underrated one was KP in game 1, because it was like, oh my God, we have the unicorn back. And like,
yes.
obviously the sphincters clenched again when we lost to Latvian Moses back to the injury report. But in game one, where he's just bombing from three, blocking Kyrie, it was like, oh, this is going to be the easiest series of our lives if we have this version of KP. And so that was like the moment where I actually felt the most relief in the sphincter. But not the last sphincter relieving experience for the series.
Right.
Yeah, I had that as well. I also had the challenge with 2.5 minutes to go in game 5, where like after we won that challenge, Kid benches the starters. And that was maybe the first massive wave of euphoria and relief. Like, oh my gosh, they've actually done it. Like, he's waving the white flag. We've won the challenge. Kyrie's over at the bench, dapping up everyone, taking a little me moment. Just one final, put the spotlight on me. Please moment for Kyrie before he walks off into the sunset for good, at least within the scope of this series. Massive relief in that one. So, I guess I could swing to the KP side of things in terms of giving this award to somebody. That was, when he came in and had that stint off the bench and had his like 18 points in the first half, you were like, okay, I could see how there's a pathway to victory here, which seems ridiculous in hindsight given how decisively we won the series. But at that time, that was close up until that point of the game, and Luka and Kyrie were cooking early in game one. KP comes in, and it's like, here's the ace up our sleeve. Here's that trump card. Here's the maximal relief to the sphincter. Depoy, couple of nominees here. Jaylen Brown matched up with Luka for 32 total minutes, 154.4 partial possessions. In that time, he held Luka to 21 total points, 9 assists, and 5 turnovers, and limited Luka to just 3 free throw attempts in those possessions that he was defending Luka. And you consider how Luka cooks, how Luka gets his work done. That's pretty impressive. So Jaylen Brown definitely up there. The Derek White blocks, 2 massive blocks, one on Derek Lively, the chase down block on PJ Washington as well. More defensive moments than like defensive stretches throughout a series, but definitely Depoy worthy. Drew Holiday's overall D, and we mentioned before Al Horford switching onto smalls, onto wings and guards, and holding up defensively as well. So Spoonie, who's your Depoy of this series?
It's Jaylen Brown for me. He had Luka in handcuffs. He had Luka in hell all series. Luka wanted no part of him. And the cherry on top was in game 5. It's like, if Luka stays, I stay. And it's like, you knew he was just completely locked in. He did just about the best I've ever seen anyone guard Luka one-on-one. I mean, Luka's so smart and crafty that he's going to get his sometimes, but he did not want Jaylen Brown on him to the point where he started switching Jason Tatum onto him. That's how good Jaylen Brown's defense was. So I think for me, it's JB. Even if he was kind of one note on the defensive end, he doesn't do as much as some of the other guys, but the thing he did was so important, it effectively won us the series.
Yeah. God damn it! Am I a Jaylen Brown
You're going
hater?
Tatum.
Is this what I'm doing? I mean, look, it's so hard to go past Jaylen because like your eyes are just like, oh my God, look at what Jaylen Brown is doing. In game 1, he's rejecting Derek Jones at the rim. Like, he had like the loudest defensive performance, I'd probably say, of the finals. But Tatum, for me, is the guy, and this is how I will frame it. This is, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it, but if you're listening, I have like the alley-oop leaders in the whole playoffs. Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford at the top of the entire playoffs with 25 and 22 alley-oops made each. And the next to Derek Jones Jr. at 12. And then it drops off a cliff is Rudy Gobert at 6. And so you look at the finals, Derek Lively, 2 field goals from alley-oops.
Wow.
Daniel Gafford, 1 alley-oop. So like the entire superpower, everything that made the Mavericks kind of like offense what it is and what it was completely neutralized by Jason Tatum's ability to guard big men. He did it, Bam Adebayo, Mobley, Turner, but didn't do it as much as he did in the finals. And his ability to do that, you can't have one without the other. That's the thing, though. It's like Jaylen Brown's ability to do what he was doing unlocks the rest of the defense, but Tatum's ability to do that and control the defensive glass throughout the entire playoffs, but again in the finals, like there was one game where Lively got loose for offensive rebounds, and that was game 3, and that was like a team-wide problem. But for the rest, Tatum, man, he played 1 through 5 on both ends, but specifically defensively, man, like he had an incredible stop on Luka in game 3. Like Luka got him a bunch, but he had an isolation possession where he forced like Luka to have a terrible front rim late in the game. I got to go to Jason Tatum just for like the structural integrity, the overall impact defensively, just by the sheer capability to do what he's able to do.
Yeah, that's a really compelling case. And like we're over here praising Jaylen Brown for, taking away, what Luka does so well. But part of that is like throwing the lobs to his bigs there. And if that's what Jason Tatum is taking away as well, then that's a really holistic team approach to defending Luka Doncic. And you could attribute Depoy to either of these guys. Spoonie, I'm kind of on the fence here after Jake's incredible case for Tatum. Have you got a decider for us?
Yeah, 2 comments though. The fact, look, this is how incredible this team's defense is. We didn't even really mention Drew Holiday, who completely locked up Kyrie Irving for like 3.5 games. So, and was amazing otherwise too, and helped defense as well. But hey, Jalen got the MVP. Let's give Tatum the DPOY.
Okay,
I'm fine with that.
Simple as that.
I was trying to choose between the two of them. They were my 1A, 1B for DPOY, so I'm totally fine with giving it to Tatum.
I just want to say, like, I almost feel bad doing these awards because, like, I don't like choosing with this team because the superpower of this team is that it's really hard to delineate who deserves, like, credit here, like, across the board. Drew Holiday, like, everyone is so integral to what makes this team so fucking special. But this is fun. So I just want to say that for the Celtics that are listening right now, that we love you all equally, but this is just for fun and everyone can share these awards.
Yes, yeah. And to the Celtics that are listening, please retweet this podcast episode as well. Yeah. That would be great.
Peyton, we know you're out there.
Yeah. Speaking of, Best Off the Bench award. There's a lot of people that this could go to as well. We had throughout the finals, especially because you can incorporate KP into this award. We had a lot of good contributions off the bench. For example, Peyton Pritchard, whose box score stats throughout the series don't jump off the page, but had some beautiful punctuated moments. 2 half-court heaves in the NBA Finals. Amazing. Sam Hauser is who I want to attribute it to. Even though KP had maybe in his spurts like more productive stints, Hauser was just consistent, 8.2 points per game in his 15 minutes per game off the bench, 48% from 3 in the NBA Finals, and held up really nicely, I thought, defensively throughout the series, but especially in Game 5 where he had himself a first to the floor moment, which we love on this show, obviously. And it felt like at times where the team was waning a little bit and we needed a little bit of a spark off the bench, Hauser was consistently giving it to us throughout the finals. For me, it's an easy one. It's Hauser.
Yeah, same. It's easy for me too. It's Sam Hauser, plus 14.7 net rating in the series, which is the second highest in the series behind KP. But he missed 2 games and was a shell of himself in Game 5. Hauser was great defensively too. Like, he held up. We had a 95 defensive rating with him on the court in the NBA fucking Finals against Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. That's absurd. It would have easily led the league by like 4 points, 3 points per 100 possessions. So Sammy buckets. He showed up. He's about to get paid one way or another.
Legitimately an elite role player. Like, that's what he has become, man. He shot 47.8% from 3 in the finals on 4.6 attempts. He's getting up proper makes in the NBA Finals. Let me make sure I've got it here. Hauser, 2.2 three-pointers made per game, dude. You know how hard points to come by in the playoffs and in the NBA Finals against elite defenses? And he's given you, 2 makes from 3 off the bench every game. It's just... and then to hold up in switches on Kyrie and Luka over and over again, like, man, I'm so interested to see what they do with this extension because I do think they're gonna get it done and then they'll figure it out later.
Hauser also by far the most ravenous celebrator and partier post championship win. From if my social media is being accurate with me, it seems like he still has not slept and he's still out somewhere in a bar right now, probably somewhere in the North End, just like slamming beers like the Wisconsin folk that he is. Last award here for the finals, and then stick around because we're going to circle back for another round of these through the whole playoffs as well. Most memorable non-basketball moment. Jake, what do you got?
I mean, it's a simple one. Like, I don't know, Tatum crying. Like,
that's what I have. Shit.
I mean, like Tatum crying. Like, he's not the KG, but like those moments where he just like all that emotion came out. He's hugging Deuce, he's hugging his mom, and the tears are just coming out. Like, and Al Horford's hugging him, being like, "You're a champ, man. You're a champ." And it's just like, oh well, this is why we do this thing.
Yeah, this is everything I hoped it would be. Yeah, that's what I have. I think Tatum crying is absolutely the one. Our guys were pretty like they didn't talk any shit. They just went about their business the entire series. There was no, tomfoolery going on in the post-game pressers. Luka complaining about the refs, I almost put on here just because it's like, oh, we got this motherfucker. He's got nothing for us. But yeah, I had Tatum crying.
Yeah, Jason Kidd bringing up Jaylen Brown as the best player of the series, which he kind of ended up being, getting the finals MVP, I thought was kind of interesting. And just like an obvious attempt at throwing shade and trying to cause trouble within the ranks of the Celtics organization there, I thought was just a classic sort of Jason Kidd moment, the off-the-court version of getting one of his players to bump into him while he was carrying drinks on the sideline as well, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, I had just everything after Game 5. Everything after the final buzzer, all the celebrations, including, but not limited to, the parade as well. All amazing, like lifetime stamping, put it in a museum, non-basketball moments. So that was fun. We're going to get to an ad read here. While Jake's doing that, I'm going to grab a jacket because I'm freezing my ass off. And when we get back, we're going to do the awards for the entire playoff run for the Celtics.
All right, let's do it. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on Prize Picks, it's just you and gets the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. With the finals over, the hoops action doesn't stop on Prize Picks. Women's basketball is still heating up with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves alongside greats like Brianna Stewart and Aja Wilson. You can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. Like more on Peyton Pritchard buzzer beaters, couldn't quite find that one on Prize Picks, but Derek White blocks was very lucrative throughout the NBA playoffs. I made my first $10 deposit and received an instant $10 bonus. If you have the skills, you can play for a shot at turning your $10 into $1,000. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Wow, amazing. Perfectly lined up with the B-Reel. Jake, setting the bar high again. I've got my live ad read coming up a little bit later. It's going to be impossible to match that standard, but we'll see how we go. Now, if you enjoyed that run of awards for the final series, we're going to run it back again, do a second one. This time covering the entire Celtics postseason, because why not? We won the freaking championship, guys. We're not moving on. I know we've got the draft coming up this week. We've got Summer League. We've got free agency. They won the title. We're going to be doing this all off-season long. So if you're not already subscribed to the First of the Four YouTube channel, make sure that you are, because we're just going to be celebrating the entire summer. Now, let's run it back again. The Jordan Crawford MVP, now renamed the Jaylen Brown MVP award of the entire postseason for the Celtics. Spoonie, who's your playoffs MVP for the Celtics this year?
This one I went with Jason Tatum. We got 5 points. So our net rating with him off the court was like +4 in the playoffs, which is great. It was like +9 with him on the court. Just a massive positive impact throughout the entire playoffs. The offense was 11.5 points per 100 possessions better with him on the court, despite him not shooting the ball really at all. So what happens when he's making shots next playoffs? So it's Tatum for me. Like, kept the turnovers down, was the complete hub of the offense. And just like defensively was incredible, man. Like complete two-way game other than his shots not falling, but that's fine. He found other ways to impact the game, and he impacted it at like the very highest level, especially his passing. Like it was better this year than it ever had been. And then it took another step up in the playoffs, which is just huge. And like one of the primary reasons we won the title.
That's a good case. That's a great case. I was like ready to make
Jaylen here.
I was ready to make my Jaylen Brown case, and I was like, damn, I didn't actually have a look at
the irony.
I know, but man, Jaylen Brown, like 61.7% true shooting throughout the entire playoffs. He was just like metronome consistent from a scoring perspective in the playoffs while playing incredible on-ball defense. And like from an expectations perspective, he just like it really exceeded my expectations, where like I kind of expected Tatum to be the driving force throughout the playoffs, and so he did. And I'm kind of just completely flipping my argument on its head for the finals MVP, but who cares? So I'm giving it to Jaylen Brown.
Love it.
That's a tough one. Wow. Okay. Because I had obviously Jaylen and Tatum as well. I think you can make a case for Drew. I mentioned he was 50-40-100 through the finals. He was 50-40-90 through the entire playoffs. Yeah. But he did not have a good first round series against the Heat, and that's where we were starting to get a lot of Bucks fans jumping in our mentions, reminding us that he was a playoff whatever the opposite of a playoff riser is, a playoff faller, I suppose, a dropper. Thank you. He certainly did drop in that first round. Jaylen Brown as well just can't wrap his head around the Eric Spoelstra defensive schemes. They get up inside of Jaylen Brown's head. So he had a rough first round as well. But Tatum was very consistent with his poor shooting efficiency, sure, but consistent with his amazing defense, with his being a floor general, conducting the offense, and generally ensuring that the Celtics were always in the best position to win. So I think I'm going to give it to Tatum as well, even though, again, for all the Celtics players out there listening, like, we love all of you. You can make a case for so many of you winning the MVP throughout the postseason. You're all incredible holistically, but I think Tatum, it's got to be him for me.
Yeah, I totally fair. I'll allow it. Jason, you can have this one.
The Evan Turner Sneaky MVP Award. I have whoever from above just didn't win MVP. So to me, that leaves Jalen or Drew. Any other entries?
So
I've got one. DJ.
You go, because I stole your sneaky one. So maybe let's see how you go.
All right, okay. So yeah, I figured Jalen's got the Eastern Conference and the Finals MVP. Tatum's got the sneaky and our playoff MVP. It's got to be Drew Holiday for me. 50, 40, 90. Who gives a shit about round one? We were always winning that series.
Yeah.
If he's going to drop, that's
Never
the time to drop. Yeah, that's when you want to suck Drew Holiday. He was just biding his time. Absolutely nails at the line all series, all playoffs long. Hit some big ones in the fourth quarter. Hit some massive corner threes and got to the rim quite a bit. And his mind meld with Tatum in game 5 on the short roll, basically won that game, which was the closeout game for the finals. And just we took his defense for granted, really. Yeah. He was fucking awesome defensively for most of the playoffs. And he had a lot of tough covers throughout the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Halliburton, Andrew Nembhard, the best player in the East. And, of course, Kyrie Irving. And he was up to the task with everybody just about.
Again, to Drew Holiday, who's listening to this podcast, this is not personal. I love you. I think you're absolutely deserving of the sneaky MVP award. But I don't think you're sneaky enough. That's where I'm going. That's my angle here. Because you could have made a case for Drew Holiday to be MVP of Eastern Conference or Finals. Derek White is my sneaky MVP for a variety of reasons, but Shane Young, one of the more Celtic-centric propagandists from the national media perspective throughout the season, he put this stat and graphic together. I've got up on the screen here. In NBA history, players that shot at least 40% from 3 on 8 attempts per game on any playoff run that's 15 or more games, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Derek White. That's the list. That's the list. His 3-point shooting has become insane, dude. 8.5 attempts per game. And going back to the mix, he was making 3.4 threes per game. And the amount of times he bailed the Celtics out, I've been calling him, he's just the best shooter on non-traditional 3-point attempts ever. Late shot clock, fading in the back of the corner over the backboard. How many times did Derek White bail you out of a possession? He was so huge in so many moments on super high volume from 3. So valuable. And then all the other, defensive playmaking that he provides as well. He's my sneaky MVP of the playoffs.
I'm totally buying that case, and the more I think about it, he had a 4.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio.
Let's go.
4 assists a game.
Wow.
Yeah, man. He didn't turn it over. He buried threes. He also shot over 90% from the line, which is we did not miss free throws in the playoffs, which is a beautiful thing. And Derek was a big part of that. Over 2 stocks a game, too, throughout an entire playoff run from a fucking guard, which is pretty nuts. And he had more blocks than he had steals, which has that ever happened with a friggin' under 6'5" guard? Probably not. So I'm buying. I will change my vote to Derek White.
Let's go.
Right, Drew was too good to get sneaky MVP.
Yeah, I can't make a better argument than that for anyone or anything ever. That's a very, very thorough argument. So Derek White, congratulations. You are the sneaky MVP of the playoffs for the Celtics this year. Well done. The game of the postseason. I have one game in mind. Anything jump out for you guys?
I got game 3 against the Pacers. The comeback, the 18-point comeback. You're so important. Can we get out of the series as quick as possible? You want to get Al Horford more rest. That was the gutsiest W of the playoffs to that point, pretty easily. You could have, just packed it in. We're up 2-0. we'll just get the split and come back to Boston. But man, 18-point comeback and like the clutch time performance was not just like Indiana completely falling apart, TJ McConnell hitting corner threes, Nembhard just going like in his bag. And then you got a couple of just like, iconic moments, the Tatum behind the back, the Drew Holiday steal on Nembhard. That game I thought in particular was just awesome. So that's my pick.
Mm-hmm. I had game 1 against Indy for basically the exact same reason. Like, we were fucking dead. And then all of a sudden, Jaylen Brown forces that weird Siakam inability to catch and then hits the corner 3, go to OT, and then Tatum just completely takes over. Like, big nut up game where it's like, all of a sudden you're down 1-0. Like, that's going to be a series all of a sudden. Like, that's going 6 games probably if you lose that game 1. So for me, it's Indy. Probably the whole Indy series is like the best game of the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I had game 1 as well, just the one overtime game, I believe, of the playoffs for the Celtics. And that sequence, Jaylen Brown forcing the turnover and then nailing that like heavily contested corner 3 is just incredible. It's hard to look past that. But we talked about game 3 of the finals as well in the previous segment. That's got to be up there. Also, we had someone in the chat saying game 1 of the finals and just the exhilaration of KP coming in, no idea what to expect, and he comes in and just dominates. Like, I guess the real takeaway is that there's so many amazing games from this series, and I've already started doing the rewatch. I selected the Game 3 NBA Finals vintage last night. It's a terrific vintage, best enjoyed with friends. Absolutely delicious. Chef's kiss. There's just so many good ones to choose from. So, but let's go with Game 1. I think we had 2 of us choosing that of game of the postseason. But again, many awesome choices to take away from that. The Preparation H Award for the best sphincter reliever of the postseason. I've got Derek White for his timely threes throughout the entire playoffs. It just felt like whenever we needed a bucket, whenever we needed a steal, obviously we had lots of contributions there, but Derek White is the name and the face that comes to mind for the most part, who just had really timely winning plays. And even in game 5 of the finals, I felt like Derek White had some really timely threes as well. So maybe it's recency bias there, but it just felt like from a sphincter relief perspective, Derek White was applying the soothing ointment more than anybody else in this one.
Go ahead, Spoony. No.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, Derek White had a tub of Preparation H. Just making sure everybody was nice and smooth down there. I just have like clutch defensive plays. Like, how many like late game blocks, late game steal? We did it to Indy like 15 times. Like Jaylen Brown with a big block, Drew Holiday with a big steal, Derek White on the chase down on PJ Washington. It just felt like every time we absolutely desperately needed a stop, they got it. And it wasn't just like force to miss shot. It was like, I'm swatting your shit off the backboard and going the other way. Or like, you think you have a breakaway. No, you don't. Or like Andrew Nembhard gets swallowed up by Drew Holiday. And it's like, those are the plays I feel like we didn't always get in previous years. And it's like, they never didn't get them this year. So just like clutch, awesome defensive plays.
Yeah, dude, the defense was like, that was why they were so good in the clutch, 6-0 in the clutch. It was like, whenever we got down there, they cranked that thing up and the other team just like could not score when it really, really mattered. But like, as far as a specific moment, I think the Nembhard, Drew Holiday steal was like, it's funny, even like with all the playback streams, I almost have like a video, archive of actually going back and being able to watch the relief, and that one I've like absolutely lost my mind when he made that steal. So I'll go with Drew Holiday's steal.
Yeah, I can get to Drew. That's fair. Depoy of the postseason. Couple of nominees here. Jaylen Brown, just for taking on the opponent's best player in seemingly every series. He even like matched up a few times on Bam Adebayo in the first round as well, and held up defensively there as he did throughout the regular season. Drew or Derek, I think you can always make a Depoy case for, just the chaos they created as a tandem, as a stock exchange. And then Tatum, who we've mentioned as well, defending bigs regularly and kind of playing that roamer role, deterring lob threats, just generally being the most versatile defensive player on the floor. Again, this is maybe the hardest award to attribute because we just have such a lengthy list of awesome defenders on this team. It's almost tough to pick one, especially over such a large sample size where everyone featured so heavily. That said, Spoonie, I'm going to ask you to pick your favorite child here. Who's your Depoy from the playoffs?
This is a hipster pick. I don't even know if I believe this, but I just feel like we need to pile more awards on him. I went with Al Horford.
Yeah,
okay. His ability to switch just allows us to play defense in a way not many teams outside of like Miami really can. And he cannot be beaten on switch. Like once in a while, you'll get him on a step back, but he doesn't really get beaten to the rim ever. And the man is 38 fucking years old. Like Al was great defensively in the playoffs. Not a ton of loud plays, not like, massive blocks or anything like that, but just always in the right place, always in the right spot, executing the system perfectly every time. And he was and we needed him so bad with KP getting hurt. So that's why I'm going Al Horford. But literally any of these dudes you can make an argument for, except maybe Derek White. He had some tough moments in the playoffs here and there. But
Okay,
I think that's fair. And the defensive awards are the hardest ones to hand out individually for this team, because like you'd need all of it together to make it the incredible unit that it is. Like Tatum's ability to guard the big guys, Al Horford's ability to be an ageless wonder is so important, dude. Like what if he shouldn't be able to play 30 minutes a night for the entire playoffs, dude? Like that was more minutes per game that Kristaps played in the regular season. Like that he went up from 24, 25 minutes a game up to 30 minutes per game in the playoffs, which is not part of the plan. So his ability to do that, and only he had 1.5 fouls per game. Like he was able to stay on the court. Like, the Donovan Mitchell game 3 was the Celtics won that game. Donovan Mitchell starts the game 7 for 10 on pull-up threes, and everyone's like freaking out. When we're like, should we change anything? Should we change anything? And Spoonie was like, I remember being like, nope, stick with it. It's going to even out. Even if it doesn't, it won't continue the next game. And like, you go back and watch, it's like, he's going to shoot, and Mitchell's going to hit those shots over any defender. It doesn't really matter. Horford, Derek, whatever. He's just stepping back, using crazy athleticism to get these shots off. Horford's there, making him make these tough shots, series in, series out. I think I went with Drew Holiday though. After all that, I just like the destructive capability in the pick and roll on screens is like one of my favorite things to watch. Like when his ability to shoot, and I feel like Jalen. I guess like it's so hard to assign who won it, because Jalen feel like he learnt that in a way that he didn't have before the playoffs, and all of a sudden he's shooting the gaps between the ball handler and the screener, and they're so strong that the ball handlers just bounce back. It's like one of my favorite things to watch on defense is guys shooting the gaps on the pick and roll, and the ball handler being like, well, I'm now further away from the basket after that attempt, and now I got to try again. It's so good.
There's 9 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Drew Holiday's screen navigation is like A++, and I feel like it also helps set a really good standard for the other guys. I feel like I've no data to back this up, but like JB's screen navigation and his ability to shoot the gaps kind of improve just throughout the duration of the playoffs, and I wonder if that's because he has the ultimate example set for him by Drew Holiday just being such a good defender. Yeah, so I think I've got to go with Drew as well. Just the body of work throughout the playoffs, it's hard to turn away from that. I do wonder if Al gets graded on like a different scale because of his age, which is fair. Like I want people to have sympathy on me as I age as well. So, I understand that approach, but I think it's like Al was really good despite his age, as opposed to like Al was like really good, but that's tough because he also was really good, but maybe it's because of how old he is. I don't know. I kind of keep going around in circles in my head on that one. So it's just easy to be like, well then fuck that. I'm just going to give it to Drew Holiday, but total respect to Al as well. He was incredible.
Yeah, I totally agree with Drew. That's absolutely. He was fucking awesome for the entire playoffs, and he guarded everybody, and it didn't matter.
Best off the bench. Are we just going to go with Sammy Buckets again? Just again, the duration, the body of work, the consistency through the playoffs. Had some tough shooting stretches, particularly in that Pacers series, but it's hard to look beyond what he gave us in the finals and some of the earlier rounds as well.
Yeah, man. I think he's become like a guy that does the little things and does the dirty work too. And just his ability to be 6'7" compared to Pritchard's 6'1". Do you want to shout out Pritchard though? Like what's crazy is he held up defensively every round, even on Luka in the finals. Like there was like not really any, like he scored on Pritchard, sure. But like Pritchard forced Luka to take mid-range fadeaway shots a bunch of times, which he missed. So like Pritchard absolutely deserves a nod, because like, that's what, like, we left a lot of on the table, it felt like, with the shooting in this run as an overall team. And Pritchard was a big part of that in the finals. Like, he missed a ton of shots that he can make, and I expect him to make going forward. So just want to shout out Pritchard as well. Like, for him to be able to stay on the court defensively through every series in the playoffs, very, very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, going in, we were going to be like, can he play in the second round of the playoffs? Can he play in the conference? He played fine to well in every round of the playoffs, and I think including the finals. At some point, Joe got a short leash, which you should. You're about to win the finals, like you can't really take any risks. But Pritchard was really, really good. But Hauser plus 15.5 net rating, 102.2 defensive rating with him on the court, which is like elite, very elite. So for me, it's Sammy buckets. But yeah, shout out Pritchard. And where would we be without those two dudes? Like they were all we had coming off the bench essentially, and then it was just a mismatch of other dudes. Like Luke gave us some decent minutes here. X-Man gave us some really good minutes when he got an opportunity. But it's between those two, and I just think Sam made shots and Pritchard didn't.
Totally. Yeah. So we're going with Sammy buckets in the end there instead of Pritchard.
Yep.
All right, cool. Congratulations again. Sammy, cleaning up on these prestigious awards here tonight.
He's
You
awesome.
love to see it. Most memorable non-basketball moment of the playoffs. This is our final award before we get to an ad break and come back with every rotation player's best moment / game of the postseason. But first, most memorable non-basketball moment. There's so many I think we can look back on. This was maybe the tougher one to research because it's just like it's not captured anywhere. There's no box score for awesome off the court moments. But Jake, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I've got a great one from the second round against the Cavs, I believe. I've got a little quick video here.
Come on, big dude. Come on. Come to stop playing with you. I'm big dude. I'm big dude. Come on.
Yeah, that's sick.
Best nickname.
Come on. I'm Big Deuce. You're Big Deuce. And then Tatum's just nodding his head, being like, damn right, I'm Big Deuce. So, and like, I think that just kind of speaks to like the overall leadership piece for Jaylen Brown and like the challenge that he took on from that perspective, which I think was really, really important. And so I loved that from Jaylen.
Mine is a Jaylen one too. I think we're gonna look back on like this was the Jaylen like championship, and then the next one will be like the Tatum championship. I have Jaylen winning both the MVPs. You could just tell how special it was to him and how he didn't expect to win either of them, and the way the team was so happy for him, and how deserved it was, man. Like that dude's gone through a lot of shit throughout his career. No more shit than Game 7 Heat last year. So I just felt like a validation of our belief in him, and I'm sure his belief in himself. And it was just a cool moment both times.
Someone in the chat asking why we've got Aussie accents. It's because you might be surprised, but it's because we're from Australia.
Yeah.
But great detective work there. Well done to you and your critical thinking. So other non-basketball moments. The parade, I think, is maybe the easy one. Obviously, the championship parade. We had a whole podcast on it a couple of days ago if you want to go check that one out. Brissy TV throughout the postseason run. So how can you say no to that? It's incredible. We've got a inside the locker room player documenting everything going on throughout the postseason, and all just the shit talk from Brissy as well. Like, we'll come back and we'll talk about this after the series, and then it just cuts back to his face on the next Brissy TV. Big smile on his face, knowing that he's just silenced all the haters from that particular fan base. And we got multiple iterations of that throughout the postseason. So that was great. And somewhat related, Heat fans, just the Schadenfreude. Again, we did a whole Schadenfreude segment on the last episode. Just the Heat tears, the salty Floridian Miami tears. So good, so tasty. I just want to put them in my morning smoothie and go for a jog. And then I'll say the playback as well. Like, we were in the playback room, the Celtics blog playback room, the link for which is in the description below. That is just the most fun thing between the community there with the chat that join us for all those games and hosting those games with you guys and having people from the Celtics blog, Cinematic Universe in there with us as well. That is just, especially for international fans, I think, and people, even yourself, Spoonie, you're obviously not in Boston, to be able to get together and gather and watch games like that in sort of a community-based forum is just so much fun. So I had to make sure we listed that as well. But we've got some great ones in the chat.
Great ones from the chat. The Derek White loses his tooth and then hits a 3 and goes to the Celtics bench. Fuck the tooth, dude. And that's just like the most badass thing that Derek White's ever gonna do. Tatum saying what they're gonna do now. But this is a great one from Jamie D in the chat. The Gorman farewell in round 1. Like, that actually might just go straight to the top, I think, for me. Like, and then the fact that they capped it off with the title, like, just makes, again, we didn't lose the Gorman farewell to the Chamber of Secrets. We got the Gorman farewell in the championship season. It's so amazing. Like, man, when he like turned to the camera and said like good night, I was just like, come on, man. I got chills.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's so good. It's so good.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a couple of other mentions in the chat. Sam Hauser, shotgunning beers. Basically everything that Joe Mazzulla said into a microphone during the post game. It's just endless memorable
For
moments.
the last 9 months, everything that man has said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moment, yeah.
Now, a quick ad read, and then we're going to come back, and it's going to be a clip show. Lots of highlights and replays of some of the best moments throughout the postseason. But first, a word from Game Time. First to the Floor is brought to you by Game Time. If I were lucky enough to be in Boston right now, I would be filling the void left by the end of the NBA season by getting into the Red Sox and the MLB. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Actually, the Red Sox are playing the Dodgers in Los Angeles on the 19th of July. That's only a 14-hour flight from me in Sydney, Australia. Actually, I might get on a plane. Talk about, there I go again. We should get ourselves on that Sydney to LA flight, Jake, ASAP, and take advantage of all the great Game Time features such as last-minute tickets, flash deals, and zone deals. Easy to find and buy MLB tickets or for every kind of event in our area. You can preview views from all the seats in the venue, plus lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. There we go. Almost a perfect ad read. So the best moments from the entire playoffs for every rotation player. We'll start with Jason Tatum. Spoonie, what comes to mind? Again, this is going to be a tough one. Maybe it's an easy one because there's so much to choose from. I don't know, but what do you think was the best game, the best moment or whatever from Jason Tatum?
Full disclosure, this is the part I did not have time to prepare for, so I'm just slinging from the hip, baby.
Let's go.
Maybe the pass, the corner behind the filthy pass to Al Horford in the corner, that comes to mind against Indy. Yeah, that's probably what I would go with.
I think it's a pretty clear two-horse race for this particular award for Tatum. The pass to Indy and that game in general was incredible, but also the closeout game. That was the most important game of everyone's lives, and Tatum had 31, 8, and 11 and was like the driving force behind that W. So that's, I think, the game for me. But as far as like a single play, this one.
Almost his entire place on its feet. Tatum drives, goes inside, behind the back. Horford, corner three, puts it in. Al Horford from downtown.
All season, they know who they are and how they win. Great rim read and extraordinary.
Dude, they're down 5 with 1 minute to go still, and they won that game. It's awesome.
It's also the hubris of the behind the back pass as well in that moment, getting a little fancy with it, a little juicy with it under those circumstances. Sorry, Spoonie, I'll cut you off.
No, all good. I was just going to say it's kind of a microcosm of his playoff run as a whole, right? Like his biggest play of the playoffs is a pass. And yeah, you can't really say that about the rest of his career before that moment. So it's just kind of a beautiful moment. What a freaking pass, dude. It's incredible.
Yeah, totally.
So good.
Game 1 of the playoffs against the Heat, he had a 23-10-10 triple-double, kind of set the tone for that series from the Celtics perspective. That was also the game that Caleb Martin undercut Jason Tatum on that late rebound. And if you remember, JT just like got up and walked away and just totally diffused the situation. And again, in terms of setting the tone, just like send that message to the entire team. Like, we're not letting the Heat get up in our business for the series. It's all business for us. We're just going to pick them apart strategically and surgically, and that's what they did throughout the series. So that was a great moment from Tatum as well. But yeah, I had the behind-the-back pass to Al in Game 3. Jaylen Brown, there's a couple of nominations here. Game 2 of the NBA Finals had a 38-8 game. Game 3 against Cleveland, 28 points on 13 of 17 from the floor. Crazy efficient. That was one of the Jaylen Brown games. Another Jaylen Brown game. Game 2 in Boston against Indiana, a 40-point game. And then the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1, forces a turnover and hits this crazy shot over Pascal Siakam in the corner.
Tatum trying to get free. Throwing in the corner. Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Bang! Jaylen Brown knocks down the three to tie the game. Timeout, Indiana.
Anything that can hurt you.
We already talked like the direction that the
Ridiculous.
series could have gone in if that shot didn't go down, not to mention the plays before and after leading up to that moment. But that's got to be the moment of the playoffs for Jaylen Brown among so many good ones.
That's a ridiculous shot, dude. What a freaking shot, man. Like, you have to have it. And yes, he forced the turnover right before that as well. I have another nomination as well, though, like Game 3 against the Mavericks. Like, two specific moments I've got here.
Still just a 3-point game with plenty of time remaining, but without their star.
Wrong one. That's my bad.
They had to take, I don't know, countless dribbles.
Jaylen Brown with the flush. Brown using the screen. Drives, pulls up, jump shot, puts it in. Jaylen Brown now with 30.
That's the finals, dude. Like that run
man.
to get that big lead in Game 3, and then the Mavs cut it all the way down to 2, and he just gets into his bag and hits that like 19-foot fader. Nothing but net. He got so many bangs from Mike Breen, I feel like, in this playoffs.
He did. Breen was banging him. For me, it's that whole second half in Game 3. Like, just iced the series. He was incredible. Just the biggest moment, the biggest stage, and he just is ice cold in the good way, like Trae Young way, not like he can't make a shot way. So I got to go with that. But that Indy Game 1 shot is just, it's insane. I can't believe he made it, even watching it back.
Yeah, I know. But like, isn't that fucking crazy? Like, I'm with you guys on that. It should be that sequence in Game 3. That was incredible on the biggest stage, the finals, and so clutch on the road. That's like all-timer shit. And the fact that there's something better that we can choose from on top of that conference finals corner game-tying shot under duress is just amazing and a testament to Jaylen's incredible postseason run. Drew Holiday. 26 points on 11 of 14 shooting and 11 rebounds in Game 1 of the finals. He was like definitely the MVP of that game, I think, from like a highlight narrative talk show perspective, overshadowed by the KP insertion in that game and his production off the bench. But Drew was absolutely like the captain at the helm in that one. He was really efficient throughout the entire postseason. I talked about it. It was 50, 40, 90, but he had a 28, 7, and 8 Game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals. And then, of course, this incredible moment on Andrew Nembhard in Game 3 in Indiana.
Rick Carlisle says go. Nembhard drives into the paint, knocked away, and stolen by Holiday. Siakam trying to get him, and he fouled him with 1.1 remaining. Rick Carlisle thought there was a foul. He's upset. There did appear some contact.
Even just like staying on his feet to recover and catch up with Nembhard there is insane. And like the backhanded reachingness of the steal too. Amazing.
He's so good, dude. He's so good.
Yeah. He also knocked down the free throws after that too.
Sure.
Which was almost a big deal because Nesmith almost buried that shot. So yeah, for me, it's like basically his whole Indy series or his whole Eastern Conference Finals and Finals. But the steal's the biggest one for me, and just he was just incredible all series. And that moment with the steal on Nembhard to win Game 3, which again basically ends the series. You can't really get much bigger than that.
Another low key one, Game 2, 15, 10 assists on 6 for 7, 3 for 4 from 3. Just like 86% from the fucking field. Like just what a player, dude.
I know.
This might be the most fun I've had since the winning of the championship, because I feel like we're walking through our vineyard, just like pointing out the different vintages we have available. Yes, the Drew 15 and 10 from the middle of the playoffs, quite a delicious drop. Derek White, best moments of the playoffs. There's a couple here in no particular order. The dunk parade in Miami. I want to say it was Game 3 or Game 4 where he got one dunk on Bam Adebayo, and I think it might have been the 38-point game that he had.
It was.
Where it was 8 for 15 from 3 as well. And then, of course, the Game 5 block on Lively at the rim in the finals and the Game 2 chase down block on PJ Washington. Just some insanely good moments. Here's that block right now.
Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Celtics looking to take a 2-0 lead. Tatum shut off by Doncic. Tries again. Tatum to the rim. Shot blocked. Derek Jones with the rejection. Here's Irving. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
So good. He's unbelievable. Dude, how does he get? He's the best transition defender I've ever seen, man. He's similar to Marcus Smart in that way. But I think for me, it's just Heat game 4. Like the team wasn't like playing that well, and it wasn't going to be a huge deal. Obviously, I mean, that becomes a 2-2 series all of a sudden. I got 3 plays from that game.
When I coach Marcus, hey, look, just be ready. If your brother gets hurt, come back in the locker room. Put the uniform on.
Oh, here's Derek White. Stays hot. They have struggled from the line. His hero just lost the handle, threw it off the back of White's head and into the hands of Horford. Derek White just feeling it right now. Oh, my goodness. On a heater in the home of the Heat. Adebayo now with 14 points to go along with 10 rebounds. He's got another double-double. And White again. Derek White.
Outrageous, dude. Outrageous, dude. Like, some of the 3, like, when he's in that mode. I mean, it's so funny how he's become the Heat killer. It's so amazing. But, like, again, the late shot clock, ridiculous 29-footer splash, and then the pull-up 3 in transition, then, like, trotting back down the court, talking shit to the Heat fans, and then dunking on Adebayo. Should have been a foul on both the dunks. But, alas, I mean, 38 bomb from D. White. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the PJ Washington or the 38 piece to me, because that Washington play won that game essentially. Mm-hmm. I got it. I hate the Heat so much that just seeing him rip their hearts out, because they were thinking like, like the Jimmy Butler feeling cute tweet that Ben parodied, which was beautiful. Like, we were scared of the Heat still. Like, it feels like, that was no big deal. But during that series, we were not like chilled out and relaxing. And to see him just destroy them is beautiful. And they still hate him. I've gone to the Heat Reddit recently, and they're still talking about his ass.
It's the best.
I just want to walk around Miami with a Derek White shirt on. I'll probably get myself beaten up, but it might be worth it. And also, just like maybe the best calls of the playoffs as well from that Heat game. It was on a heater in the home of the Heat in that Derek White 3-point barrage, and then Mike Breen. Like, blocked by White. Whenever you get Mike Breen going like, like that, where he's like having a little orgasm, that's when you know it's an awesome moment. He did exactly that on the LeBron James block in 2016 as well. So to see Derek White get up in that moment and get the appropriate accompanying Breen call was incredible. Al Horford, game/moment of the playoffs. Game 5, Cleveland. Did he have 7 threes, 7 of 12 from beyond the arc in that one?
6. Yeah.
He had another game where he hit 7 threes.
I added a 3 in my mind.
I think he hit 6, but he also had 15 rebounds and 5 assists in that game too. Like, that's just insane. An absolute masterclass from Al Horford. Great playoff series. Great playoff run for Big Al, but that game was his masterpiece, man. He was incredible.
The reason why you were confused between 6 and 7 is because in game 3 in Indy, he was 7 for 12 from 3. So okay, I think those are the 2 games. Like game 5, I think I got to give it to Cleveland, because it was like, can we get out of this thing? Indy and the Knicks are in this like 7-game war. Can we get some rest for specifically Al after like game 4 was like where he looked the worst. Donovan Mitchell had gone out and he kind of got cooked. That was like one of the games where he struggled. And it's like, fuck. We've only got 1 day off rest between this game and game 5. How's Al going to hold up? And he just had a freaking masterpiece. He had the moment where he saved the ball on the sideline, and he like had the still shot of him looking like a Greek god throwing the ball back into the court, and then the Garden just like absolutely embracing him, and then him talking about that moment in the press conference being like, I really wanted the Garden to embrace me at that moment, and they gave it back to me, and it was just like this incredible thing. Man. But like game 3 in Indy, he 7 for 12 from 3 is like that's just nuts, man. And like you needed every bucket.
Game 5 finals, he had a number of like aggressive dad strength post-ups as well. Just like every Celtic in that game was like, it ends now, it ends tonight. And Al's version of that was just like bodying Derek Lively, and he had one on Gafford as well, just like backing them down to the rim old school and just like banking in this sweet little like turnaround post hook shot, which I thought was a nice little like tip of the cap to where Al comes from, like the 07 draft, and just how long he's been in the league and like how the game was played back in my day. I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, all those threes against Indy and Cleveland, you can't go wrong there. Kristaps Porzingis, game 1 of the NBA finals.
I mean, yeah.
Cool. Okay.
That's like one of the craziest moments. Like you talk about Celtics gasms, dude. Like that run in the first half was one of the most insane things that's ever happened to me.
Yeah, dude. And like the first post up mismatch, he got fouled, and then the next one, he just silked the jumper over somebody's face, and I'm like, oh, I forgot how he's cheating on offense.
Yeah.
I completely forgot he's unguardable. Hell yeah, he's back.
Yeah, he was that game. I mean, and like the Garden, just like the way that when he came back in like game one before that game, and like we get the video of him like coming out, and it's like
The entrance.
WWE and everyone's he loves it, dude. Like I mean, all season long, but especially in this series, like him playing with the crowd in that way was incredible. Oh yeah, the block on Josh Green in transition, like that is ridiculous.
Peyton Pritchard.
4 seconds to go. Missed free throw. 4 for the rebound. Here's Pritchard. He loves these. Puts it up half court of the buzzer. Bang! Pritchard at the buzzer with a three-pointer. He's done it again.
He's done it again. We did it.
And then Tatum comes over, like jumps on him and like double fist punches him in the chest, and it's just the Pritchard celebration. You know, just this is what I do. This is what I do. Oh man! And Ben, you posted an awesome like clip on our Instagram of Pritchard buzzer beaters in the playoffs, of which there's many, which is crazy in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out our IG. The link's in the description below. Spoonie, is this going to go down as like an all-time finals moment? Like think about in future iterations of the finals, they're making like their promo materials like, oh, the NBA finals coming up in 12 days time, because that's how big of a gap we leave between all the prior basketball.
Yeah,
and then they run some all-time finals moments. Is that Pritchard half-court shot like in that montage?
I want to say yes. The only things working against it is like other fans probably were thinking like, oh, the Celtics are winning this game, whether he makes that shot or not. To us, it's like, oh, thank God. You know?
Relief.
But like 28 other fans or teams fans are probably just like, oh, wow, now they have 3 more points. Like, no big deal. Yeah. But it's fucking crazy making half-court shots in the finals. So yes, it's going to be on the highlight package from here till the end of time.
Hell yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, yeah, it was an 18-point lead versus a 21-point lead, so like to the average person. But look, dude, that just took like everything right out of them. You know, for that to happen again, it's just like, how can you not feel like it's not your night and not your series and not your year when then that happens to you?
Totally. Sam Hauser. What do you guys got? Yeah. Sam Hauser, best moment, best game of the playoffs.
I got it right here. It's game 1 in the finals. And he was a huge part of this Kristaps Porzingis explosion. I got 19 seconds of glory for everybody right here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Irving blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Holiday, Hauser, three-pointer. Consistently will be guarded by a smaller player. If he gets size and position, he can take advantage.
Dude.
Sammy buckets.
I remember in the moment, like KP had that block and then Drew found him because he hadn't been making shots in the previous series. And like that was the first shot he made in the finals, was like a fading contested corner 3 off the back of the Kristaps block to get the 17-point lead.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, this is just ectoplasm everywhere, dude. And then the no dip 3 in the corner again off a Drew Holiday assist, pushing in transition, like just huge, man. That was just a huge moment, and like very important, very crucial that he like got on track for the rest of the series.
Yeah, shout out to his game 3 too. 9 points on 3 of 4 from 3. Led the team in plus 16. So very timely Sammy buckets. But he also had a run, I think it was game 1 against the Heat, very similar to that run in game 1 against the Mavs, where he just like the second he stepped foot on the floor, he was just burying threes, and it just like deflates teams.
Yeah, he missed either his first 1 or 2, and then he made 4 straight threes.
Yeah.
Off Tatum passes, and it's like, oh yes, let's go.
Yeah, game 5 against Miami back in Boston, 17 points on 5 of 8 from beyond the arc. Incredible. But yeah, the best thing about like the deep rotation guys, the stay ready crew doing these things on the biggest stage is like the idea that the rest of the world gets to see what we've been championing all year. So to see Sam Hauser have these moments on the biggest stage, being an undrafted player and his whole background there was incredible. Xavier Tillman, I think this one's obvious.
Led by 13 in the first quarter. Tillman tries a three. It's good. Xavier Tillman from downtown.
Oh my goodness. The Boston Celtic bench went absolutely nuts after that big bucket.
Just like we all predicted, a pivotal corner 3-point shot in the finals from Xavier Tillman.
Look, the basketball gods, it felt nice, man. It feels so good to be the team when all this shit was happening for us. Like, how much of this shit is like the reverse of the 2022 finals where Jordan Poole's hitting these shots and Andrew Wiggins is Scottie Pippen and all that kind of stuff. It's like, we get the Xavier Tillman corner 3 for once. We're the team that's getting all of the stuff that should be happening to the team that's destined to win the NBA title happening to us. And then like the bench reaction, that was like one of the best bench reactions of the whole playoffs.
It was absolutely beautiful. I think he also blocked Luka in that game. He had 2 blocks, and I think one was on a Luka ISO where he almost got him, and Tillman just swatted it into the crowd. So not a ton of moments to pick from for Xavier Tillman.
Sure.
So I think the 3 is a pretty clear one.
But that game 3, like that whole game is his moment, dude. Like that was the X gon' give it to you game. He was switching on to Kyrie. Right. He was switching on to Luka in a like, okay, well, KP's out. How are we what's the adjustment? And he kept the integrity of the defense sound by being able to switch everything. And that was how they really won the series. And that's all we needed. That trade by Brad Stevens, success, because you got 12 incredible minutes from Xavier Tillman in game 3 to help you go up 3-0 in the finals.
Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Luke Cornett, technically a rotation player throughout the playoffs. We kind of saw him less and less as the postseason went on. But game 1 against Cleveland, he played 21 minutes, 4 points. Not that much, pretty modest, but 10 boards, 6 offensive rebounds, 2 blocks, and finished a tied game high plus 12 in that one. So it's hard to sort of think back that far now, given how like grueling, I think as a stressed out fan, the postseason was. But he had some pretty productive minutes, especially in those first 2 series.
That was going to be my choice.
Yeah, I agree. Luke gave us exactly what we needed from him. Just kind of hold the fort for as long as you can, buddy. And yeah, that was a great game. The big rebounding games, man. Offensive rebounds are backbreakers in the playoffs. Sure. And getting 6 of them in a game is like, it's hard to lose a game where you have one dude getting 6 offensive rebounds.
Yeah, man. That's all you needed, man. Luke Cornett came in, helped you get a big win in the second round of the playoffs. Like, you did your job, buddy. And they kind of figured you out for the rest of the series. But that's like you exceeded expectations. That's all we can really ask for.
Now, O'Shea, technically, again, a rotation player. I think in the Indy series, I actually haven't taken any notes for him, but I want to make sure he gets a mention. In the Indy series, we went small at one point, and O'Shea was our small big in that rotation, and he held up. It was really effective. I think he had a team high plus minus in that game. I think it was like a plus 18 or something because he came in and just like locked it down defensively. He only had a few points, but was really, really solid defensively. And every win counts, every game counts in this postseason run, which ultimately ended up in a championship. So these are all championship plays, and O'Shea was incredible in that Indy series for a little while there.
You'll be remembered, O'Shea. Yeah, you'll be remembered, dude. Game 2 against Indy, you came in, and then they kind of figured out the small lineup. But again, if you're getting one game where that player can help you get a win in the playoffs from your 9th or 10th man, that's a huge, huge win. So you got a ring, Brissy, and you earned it, brother.
Yep. Good job, buddy. One win. That's all we needed.
That's it.
Worth the $2 million.
Absolutely. All right, we're well and truly over time, so we're going to wrap up here. But huge thanks to everyone in the chat. We see all your messages. We really love doing the show with all you guys hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button. There's a bunch of you here, and those likes really help us defeat the algorithm and put this show in front of more people, which is huge as we try and build this platform. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back here live, same time tomorrow night for our Celtics NBA draft preview with Ben Pfeiffer. So make sure you subscribe to the First to the Floor YouTube channel so you don't miss out. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celts.
I love